One, two.
Welcome to Nerds on Ice, where your cool nerds get fired up on today's hot topics. I'm your host of this esteemed Bad Batch, Chris Fury. And with me, we have some very special guests. So first up, we have from the Outer Rim territory of Boston, Circle of Nerds video director, host of But Is It Good, and 1/4 of the Cosmic Disasters crew, the one, the only, Daddy Louie.
Hello, children. What's up?
Man,
Next
that
up.
was a hell of an introduction.
And, oh, yeah.
Shit. All right.
Wait till we get to yours.
Oh,
Because I wrote it. No.
Andrew is an actor and director for the Cleveland Theater scene. He is also a co-host of the podcast About Everything, Kind of Sober, at Kind of Sober Pod. He can be found on Twitter and IG at Akel. When a list of someone nerds out on you does not fit on your phone, you know you found in an Omega level nerd. You can talk to Keenan about anime, Star Wars, video games, and D&D, you name it. Even if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he'll still give his opinion. You can find him at the Sicklebill Sparrow on Twitch TV. And finally, I feel like we should play the NBA Finals music for this one. Finally, we have the CEO and fearless leader of the Circle of Nerds and host of Cosmic Disaster Show, the man, the myth, the legend, Tommy D.
Who wrote that shit?
That was Jackie.
Come on.
But she was reading my mind.
That's
She was reading my
ridiculous.
mind.
Come on.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'm just
Oh,
a
don't be
dude.
coy.
I'm just some guy that just does nerdy shit. That's all.
So everyone, if you listen to the intro, you noticed I mentioned the Bad Batch, which is a touch on some things. Tonight we'll be talking about Star Wars and the rebooting of the universe, or so to speak, the rumor. Once I said it, there's talk already of them possibly doing an offset universe or setting things right from the last trilogy. Me, myself, I'm a hardcore born and bred Star Wars fan, so I take the good with the bad. But the first piece of news is Jon Favreau. They said he planned on restarting the sequel trilogy. It's not really confirmed, but I do understand that he will possibly play a bigger role in the Lucasfilm lineup, behind the scenes. I think most of this comes from the great breakout hit of the Mandalorian and how he's been behind everything. So what do you guys think?
I like Star Trek. I thought this was a Star Trek show. I didn't know that this was going to be Star Wars. So I might be in the wrong spot here.
Let me look through my notes here. Wait a minute. The wrong thing here.
Star Wars. What is that?
Right. Honestly, I think if you've got
Daddy Louie says as he has the Death Star behind
right. I think if you've got Filoni and Favreau attached to anything Star Wars, we're going to be in good shape.
Oh yeah, all right, I totally agree.
True.
Dave Filoni has shown himself to be quite the fan. If anyone has seen Disney Plus's behind the scenes of The Mandalorian, he's possibly the biggest fan, and it shows.
He's one of us, no doubt. He's one of us.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Drew?
Well, I think if you have somebody who can, like you say, who is a fan and can actually take the series in a direction that is more cohesive with the first trilogy, which I think is what they were saying, because we were talking about earlier how the current Disney trilogy as it is a little too, it isn't as derivative of the original as it could have been, and to have somebody in charge who is a fan, maybe we can bring it back to the original, not only the original canonical things from the original trilogy, but to actually give it to a little more sound base. And I think it's a good thing. Right. And as a side note, I didn't mind the Disney trilogy as separate entities, but I can understand the frustration, even though I happen to think 2 of the 3 movies were very excellent as movies.
Yeah,
as movies, I will
separate individually. Yeah,
totally agree with you. Excellent to watch. A lot of people disagreed with me. I thought the ending of that trilogy was fantastic because it answered questions. It answered questions that they made over 2 movies, and it was like, where the hell are you going with this? And then
Yeah.
they finally were like, well, here's some answers. Okay.
And at least you got some answers. That's
Exactly.
I'm with.
So do you think that some of the fans, and this is kind of a theory I've always kind of sat with, do you think some of the with the fans or the fair weather fans, whomever, that claim they didn't like it, is it because of the change of directors? Like you went from J.J. Abrams to who did
Rian Johnson.
Yeah, Rian Johnson, and then it went back to J.J. Abrams. I mean, two great directors. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
You know, but two totally different looks, two totally different directions. You know, and it's kind of hard to carry over. You know, the storyline if they're not conferring with each other. Do you think that might be something part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I do,
100%. Yeah, 100%. It is, and obviously it comes down to story. It comes down to communication. There was a lack of both. You know, there was a lack of vision. There was a lack of trust. I think that episode 9 was amazing. I even liked episode 7. Episode 7, no lie, episode 7 gave me goosebumps. Because there was so much of it that harkened back to episode 4. You know, it was obvious, and some people were complaining. It's like, oh, well, shot for shot, this is like A New Hope. That's okay. That's okay, because you're bridging that gap. You're bridging that generational gap.
Right.
We had our Star Wars. You know, now it's time for this new generation to have theirs. You know, so I was, episode 8, you know, that was rough. That was rough, but episode 9 brought it all together. And honestly, the only gripe that I have is the Emperor's New Clothes. That was it. That was my only gripe. Where the fuck did he get a change of clothes? I didn't know that the Force could do that. I didn't know that you could use the power of the dark side, right? Yeah, surprise. Come on.
Well, here's your robes, my son.
Well, I mean, you gotta go with what Shiva said back in 3. Some of these things people would refer to as being unnatural. So I mean, to just draw clothes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely unnatural.
That falls under the jurisdiction of the Force, that's for sure.
Oh man,
that's unnatural. That's for sure.
Right. I would tell you, I think the most upsetting thing for me for 9 was Rose and Finn. They didn't really flesh more out because here were two characters I wanted to see so much more from.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it. We didn't get that conclusion. And I feel like we were robbed. You know, it was great that you got the bridging the gap. I wanted that. You know, you're closing off certain generations and start new ones. But here you're introducing characters. The dynamic between Poe and Finn and Rey were fantastic. And I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more of their story grow.
Yep.
And then you dressed Rose up to be like the next edition, but you gave her nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and you cut out so many of her scenes, and it was like, she was robbed of so much. And it was like, you wanted to hear more. You wanted to see more. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Which bridges over to people talking about diversity in Star Wars. You know, there's more than Lando and Finn at this point.
Right.
Sure.
Well, that was just it. Like, let me just be like, and this is no disrespect to the actor who plays Kylo Ren. Like, no disrespect. I think he's a great guy. I've listened to some of his stuff. I listened to his TED Talk. It was fantastic. I'm really glad for him.
Actually, I did too. Yeah.
Who gives a hot shit about Kylo Ren?
Amen.
Who gives a hot shit? No one. Like, for that matter, honestly, who gives a hot shit about Rey? Like, I mean, there a lot of the problems that I had with these characters was that I couldn't attach to them. The one that I really started to root for was Finn, and then they turned him into a joke. Look at me, I'm in the Bubble Boy outfit, squirt squirt, and it was like, well, I was like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? And then he started using a lightsaber. I'm like, oh damn, is this the way that the Force is coming back into balance? Are people who were not Force sensitive all of a sudden going to get Force sensitive powers? Is this the provocative way that Disney is going to go? No, they're not going to do shit. Who's Snoke?
Right.
Doesn't matter. Like, it was just that crap over and over again. was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Some of that stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially the bridge from 8 to 9. Like in 8, which this is my hot take, I actually enjoyed very much. I think that setting up Rose and Finn as a dynamic, as a potential side shoot dynamic from the trio, and then running that completely empty in 9 and just leaving her completely in the dust. And then this setup, which I can't remember, it's been a while in 7 or 8, when they set up that there's a chance that Finn is, as you said, like we talk about, force sensitive, and then that is gone.
Yeah.
Where is it? And
you
so
had some people who were, and I remember my wife, who's not an avid Star Wars fan, but I am, and from her perspective, she's saying, well, what is it that he has to tell her, that he loves her? Because you figure in 7 he kept implying that, you got a girlfriend, you got a boyfriend, cute boyfriend, all the little moves he was doing imply he was hitting on her, and here it is in 9, he's got something to tell her, and my wife is like, what, that he loves her? Or wasn't he kissing the other girl? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
it was all over the place.
Would have loved to see that.
Yeah,
it was all over the place. Everything was all over the place. There were these connections that could have been made that weren't throughout the entire new trilogy, and then we get the lesbian kiss at the end, like out of nowhere. Who are these two? Yeah. Where did this relationship come from? I mean, that's cool. I like to see lesbians kiss. I'm okay with that. For many years, I've been okay.
I think the general basis of men are okay with
that. Sure.
But that's not the thing that I was interested in. If it had meant anything to the storyline, then I would have been more okay with it.
If we would have known who they were. If we would have known who they were.
If I gave a hot shit about who they were, then I would care. But I don't. So what about Finn? What's his story? Even if they hadn't, so Rey and Finn don't get together. Okay, that's fine. So make something messy happen. Use that as a driving part of the story to send them to another part of the galaxy. Do something with it. Don't just leave it empty. They left so many plot holes just empty.
And I think that comes, like I said, from the changing in direction. Like you go from 8, where you see the little kids on the gambling planet, and the one little kid, he calls the broom to him using the Force, and it's such a quick and you miss it scene. And then they, that's obviously telling fans, okay, the Force is still out there, but then that's it. And then
I think it's because episode 9 was really there were so many people that complained about episode 8, and there were so many people that were upset with episode 8 that J.J. Abrams took it upon himself to not just correct the quote unquote mistakes that were made in the continuity of the story in 8, but also, I mean, 9 is a giant slap in the face to everything that Rian Johnson did in episode 8. It really is.
No matter how you spread the peanut butter.
It's not just that there was a difference of opinion. It's that J.J. Abrams went out of his way to deliberately make things
absolutely,
obvious that, I don't like the decision you made, so we're going to completely change it. You. And I am also a person who thinks that episode 8 was phenomenal. Not only do I think it was phenomenal, in my opinion.
Oh, good for you!
I like Star Wars. It's the best Star Wars movie ever made.
I thought it was Star Trek.
It trumps for me. It trumps even Empire Strikes Back.
What?
So.
Oh wow.
What?
Yeah. So.
This is where the hot topic is coming.
Wait a minute. We were supposed to be talking about like if we need a reboot. And now Louie drops this bomb that 8 is the greatest Star Wars film of all time?
Right. So that's my segue. We don't need a reboot. We need to let what's done be done, and we need to start exploring these other stories. I think that's what makes The Mandalorian so great, is we can absolutely have cameos and small little ties to the canon that's already there. They're bringing Ahsoka in. I hope they don't overdo it. I hope it's just like a very quick natural cameo or, a passing by. I just want to see them just explore the rest of this ginormous Star Wars universe that they have. And if they want to do little things, little nods to fans by doing cameos and by doing location cameos and things like that, cool. I'm all for it. But I don't think that we need to reboot anything. I don't think we need to,
We need to reboot 8.
Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. No.
Reboot episode 8.
8 was great.
I'm actually I agree with Daddy Louie on this one, where I want to see more of the rest of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We've closed off the Skywalker chapter. Perfect, great. Let's see what else is out there. Let's explore the Finn and Rey and Poe and Rose, and let's go more. Let's go more into, was that Lando's daughter? We can go so much further, and I want to see more. For those who don't know, like, Lando lost his daughter at a very young age, and what was her name? Was it Jacinda? I think that's the actress. But she really came from, as she said, like a poverty type of situation. Like, she doesn't remember her parents and everything. So, there was that angle. And then there was the angle, like, okay, is she feeling Finn now? Like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. So can we leave the Force alone for a little while? I mean, we've had 9 movies. Can we leave the Force alone for a little while, please? That's why I like The Mandalorian. Yes, we've got, you've got the child, and there's some Force use there, but there is this, and for those of us that have read the novels and the comics, we know that there's this vast, rich universe, this galaxy out there. The video game 1313, was put on hold indefinitely. That would have been great, because now we're seeing that darker underbelly, of just people. It's not always about the Force. There's a lot more going on in the galaxy than just the Force all the time. So, and I think that's why the Mandalorian, I agree with Daddy Louie on that, is so great, and it's so important. Because now, like, with Rosario Dawson is playing Ahsoka, I believe. Yes. Is that right? Yeah. So she's gonna come in. I would like to see her in there for a few episodes. Maybe have like a little story arc here and there, because she did play an important role, in the Galactic Civil War, and in the Rebellion, and in the Clone Wars, obviously. But it'd be nice to see her, a little bit more than just like a one-shot cameo. But Daddy Louie, like you had said too, it would be nice to have those touchstone characters, those characters that we know and we love, that come back, just for one episode of The Mandalorian, so we can, feel that again, but then it goes on to the next generation as well.
I think the reason why The Mandalorian did so well wasn't so much about the Force, but rather about what a pivotal role the Mandalorians have played all throughout Star Wars.
And we haven't even gotten that far yet in The Mandalorian. I mean, they've just touched on it. They've just scraped the surface of.
That's the beauty of it. That's just called great writing, Yeah,
but I mean, like, that's just it. Like the Old Republic, you've got the Mandalorian War, and you've got what's been happening to Mandalore, the way that the final season of the Clone Wars is going, like, and the way that you saw Maul and the way that went, and that all takes place on Mandalore. Like, oh my gosh. And so Mandalore is this pivotal place in the galaxy. And so I agree with you about that. But I mean, the thing that I really want to see is in regards to the Force. I don't want the Force to go away. I want them to explore more of the crap that they keep alluding to. Like, so yes, the Jedi are frail and they've stagnated. And yes, the Sith are bad guys and they do alchemy and they might as well melt bodies together and be necromancers. Like, yeah, but the whole universe is supposed to be overflowing with the Force. So where is more of this stuff? How is this impacting the universe? And where are you going to show it? I thought they were starting to show it with Finn. I thought that's where that was going. And then they were just great.
That would have been.
And then they were like, never mind. You know what? What I really think they need to do, I think they need to just bring back that zombie plague that the Imperials made on that one Star Destroyer.
Oh,
I just think they
from
need to
Death
unleash
Trooper,
that.
from Death Trooper, the book
Yeah.
Death Trooper. Yeah, yeah. They need to move
And I mean,
forward.
but-
They need to move forward. We need to jump ahead. Personally, I would like to see them jump ahead to, the Fell Empire. The Cade Skywalker. That
Right.
whole storyline. You've got, yes, it's a Skywalker, but he's a drug addict. He's a drug dealer. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the Force. He's a dirtbag. He's scum. But he's a Skywalker.
He's literally worse than his Uncle Solo.
Yeah.
He's just that much worse.
Yes, because he's not
just that much worse.
He's not a scruffy, noble guy. He's just a piece of shit, with the Skywalker name. But everything turns around, but that's the stuff that they need to draw upon. We talked briefly about the EU and the stuff that's, what is it, Legacy now? It's, or whatever it is. But Louie, we've talked about this a lot. The Solo and Skywalker children, that whole thing. You've got this wonderful, wonderful storyline with the Solo and Skywalker children out there in the galaxy, running amok, having fun. There's some death and destruction as well. Chewbacca dies. All this other stuff. But it's there.
Spoiler alert! No.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. I mean that book's like 15 years old. If you haven't,
right.
Chewbacca dies, a planet crushes. I'm sorry, guys. But let's talk.
Only way to take him out.
The only way to take him out. But why don't we do that? I would love to see Mara Jade. I would love to see, that whole thing. Luke's clone. Mara Jade is the hand. The two of them coming together, and then.
See, there's so much. I think is it because once Disney bought the rights to the Star Wars universe that they wanted to pick and choose what was canon and what wasn't, and it's like they kind of deterred away from that original concept.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we're gonna kind of do what we want to do. No, on the directors at this point, it's just like, we're Disney. We don't want to go too dark or something. I don't know. But the thing is, it's Star Wars. You don't have to tell the darkest of stories. Just don't ignore it.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was when you have 20 years of story writing done, and then you just say that didn't happen. Like how would you feel if that happened in any other franchise that was your favorite? If someone just came out and said, yeah, that stuff actually doesn't matter. Like,
right?
Yeah, of course.
Why would we care at all? And so like it's just becomes so deeply dissatisfying. So in regards to rebooting the series, I don't know if I'm at that point. I felt like they were cowards when they made this series. Obviously, Jar Jar Binks should have been a bigger problem than Dooku, in my opinion, or Grievous.
Speaking of Jar Jar,
that was a cowardly move to not make him more prevalent as a source of evil. But that's because our good boy Lucas loved Jar Jar. He was the comic relief in his eyes, which sure.
Well, speaking of Jar Jar, with the craziest Star Wars theory I've ever heard, which is actually kind of fun at the same time.
Darth Jar Jar. Oh, it's the best. But if you now I want you to go back and watch The Phantom Menace, and the fact that whenever he moves his hands, he's busy tricking people when he does it. Their opinions are swayed when he does it. He jumps like fucking crazy. He's got Sith eyes. Like,
so you'll be happy to know Tuesday. Check out the Cosmic Disaster Show, because that is the topic of discussion, is Darth Jar Jar. So we're examining the one of the worst theories in Star Wars lore, and that was at the top of our list. So we're going to be examining that.
Yeah, we can save it for that one.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean that's fair, but this is the point that I'm at now. Like, should we reboot it? No, But at the same time, you've opened this nasty, nasty door by cutting the canon like you did, which is multiverse theory. So how many multiverses are we going to see now in Star Wars? When does another franchise get it? Well, I mean, obviously it's not going to happen with Disney, but like if another franchise were to get it, what can they do with it? Can you still write stuff for legacy now?
The multiverse has no place in Star Wars. I
agree.
No, let Marvel, let DC, let Star Trek play with that shit.
Yeah.
Leave the there's one galaxy far, far away in Star Wars. There's enough there to talk about. We don't need fucking multiverses and shit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I've gotten two no's on reboots that in multiverses.
Well, it's
reboot.
Too late. They already opened it. I say, yeah, you've already opened it. So if you wanted to play the Colonel Clusterfuck game, well, ding, 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 win the prize. We're going to make a new trilogy. It's not going to matter about any of the stuff that was happening with the other series in order to make it like coherent. We're going to make something that jumps ahead of all the crap that everyone else had made and fuck everybody. And here's this new story. And it felt like, where are we going with this? It's finally kind of warmed around to me and I've cooled down about it. But whenever I really start thinking about it, Disney, it's the same thing that I was talking about before. It was about money. It wasn't about a love for the series, in my opinion.
Right.
And that's why Mandalorian tasted so sweet when it came around, because it was someone who gave a shit about the series.
I agree. So, Tommy, no reboot.
No reboot.
No reboot. Daddy Louie, no reboot. Continue on or explore more, I should say. Drew, what do you say?
No reboot.
No reboot.
No, I'm with you guys.
No reboot. I'm a no reboot. Let's move on. Let's explore more. Let's touch on more.
Yeah.
Kathleen
I want Jon.
Kennedy.
I mean, Jon Favreau is great, right? Like we all agree, Jon Favreau is great.
Absolutely.
Why do we want him to waste his time and his talent that he has left in this lifetime on rebooting something that's, even for people who hate it, it's still okay. I mean, Keenan even said he liked the last one, right? He's okay with how it all, kind of came together. Let's not waste his time and his energy doing that. Let's have him use that time and energy to explore new stuff like he's doing with the Mandalorian.
Agreed.
Well, guys,
I mean, make him make a third universe where it's Favreau's universe instead. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
let him take over the canon, and then the second one, it can be explored, but it's explored as legacy too.
Right. Well, this is the end of the show. I wish we could tell more about it. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in. For everyone who tuned in to this live event, listen for Nerds on Ice podcast and more from the Circle of Nerds. Coming up next is the Cosmic Disaster Show. Until next time, when we discuss the next hot topic, I'm your host, Chris Fury. Check you on the other side. See you guys around.
All right, everyone, chill.